Hi, grade 6. Today we are doing a poetry lesson. We're going to talk about poetic devices. Poets often use figurative language and poetic devices to create interesting sounds, but also to create pictures. These pictures help us to imagine what something looks like, and often they do this by using comparisons. So a direct comparison is called a simile. You already know what a simile is. It's a comparison that uses the words like or as. And here is an extract from a poem called Comparisons, and I'm just going to read through it and just explain a couple of words here and there. Right, Comparisons by Anonymous. As wet as a fish, as dry as a bone, as live as a bird, as dead as a stone. So you would have already noticed that he's using opposites on either side. So wet and dry and live and dead. As plump as a partridge. Plump means well fed and fat, and a partridge is a bird. As poor as a rat. As strong as a horse. As weak as a cat. As hard as flint. Flint is a type of stone. As soft as a mole, as white as lily, as black as coal. As plain as a pikestaff, as rough as a bear, as tight as a drum, as free as the air. As heavy as lead, as light as a feather, as hot as a furnace. It's like a oven where they make, obviously with fire, so it's really, really hot, a furnace. As cold as a frog, as gay as a lark, happy as a bird. A lark is a type of bird. As sick as a dog, as red as a ferret, as safe as the stocks. As bold as a thief, as sly as a fox, as good as a feast, as bad as a witch, as light as day, as dark as is pitch. You're obviously not going to work in pairs now unless you can find someone on Teams who would like to work with you, then you can do that. Otherwise, you're just going to do this on your own. We will look at question 3. It says, add 2 more lines to the poem. Sorry, there's a typing error there. There must be no E there. Okay. Right, so I'd like you just to add 2 lines, and remember, it needs to also be antonyms. So whatever you're saying on the left-hand side, you need to use the opposite, the antonym on the right. So if you had to say cold and hot, then you think of something that is really cold and something that is very hot. Okay, then for the next part, what do you need to do here is obviously we know that a comparison that is very similar to a simile is the metaphor. The metaphor doesn't use the words like or as. We just say one thing is basically another thing. Okay, and the poem that we're going to read here is called The Sea is a Hungry Dog. The sea. The sea is a hungry dog, giant and grey. He rolls on the beach all day with his clashing teeth and shaggy jaws. Hour upon hour he gnaws the rumbling, tumbling stones, and bones, 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 bones. The giant sea dog moans, licking his greasy paws. Okay, so there are a lot of metaphors in here. If we look at the very first line, there's a comparison. And what is being compared here? They are comparing the sea to a hungry dog. And let's think, how are they similar? It says they are both giant and grey. And then he rolls on the beach all day. Obviously a dog can literally roll on the beach. How do you think that the sea might be rolling on the beach, or which part of the sea is rolling on the beach? Then they carry on and they say, with clashing teeth and shaggy jaws. What part of the ocean might look like teeth, or like an open mouth and like jaws coming down? Hour upon hour he gnaws, and to gnaw, a dog normally gnaws on a bone. It's that slow kind of chewing, scraping action. So the ocean also gnaws away at rocks and stones and things. Slowly it sort of eats away at any stones that are on the beach. And then, of course, the ocean makes a sound. And in this case, they are saying that it sounds like the dog is moaning and he's saying bones, bones. That's the sound that the ocean is making. And then lastly, which part might look like the ocean is a dog and it's licking its paws? What part of the sea could resemble a tongue, maybe? Okay, and then you're going to answer the questions. What two objects are being compared? I think that's easy. Have you ever thought of comparing these things? Maybe explain a little bit there. Don't just say yes or no. And then I'd like to hear your opinion. Do you like this poem? And maybe explain your answer. All right, you do not need to do number 6. Because I guess you could answer number 6, poetic devices. Can you find an example of alliteration in this poem? So not repetition, so not repeating words. So bones, bones is not alliteration, that's repetition. See if you can find an example of alliteration in the poem. Okay, so this is the first part, and I will carry on with the next part in the next video.